Yes. I mean, give it a second. Yes. All right, so again, just as a quick review, last week we learned how to, one, open up a PowerPoint document. Two, we learned how to insert a picture or a clip art into a PowerPoint slide, and we learned how to add text as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do the same things as last week, and then we're going to take some words and some pictures and actually start dealing with some animations with them and start setting some timings. So again, I'm going to go very slow, very deliberate. So again, if you have any questions, just raise your hand that way I can see it, or Demetrius will acknowledge it, and then that way I can put a pause on it. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start from the basics. So I'm going to go ahead and open up PowerPoint. Okay. This is how it's going to look. Right. This is your default view. Okay. Now again, one of the important things with PowerPoint when you're dealing with slides are your slide selections or your slide layouts. So again, what I always tell students is, okay, first, sometimes it's, you know how when you're writing a paper, you write down your ideas or you write it down how you want it to look before you actually type it? You should do the same thing with PowerPoint. You give yourself an idea of what you want your slide to look like, and then what you always want to do is you want to click on layout and see, right, so right here, I clicked on layout. Okay, right, this is on your home ribbon. Correct. Now with slide layout, again, you see 9 options here. Those are your options in which you can incorporate pictures, text, animations, transitions, etc. You have 9 different layouts that you could possibly use. And with those 9 layouts, you can go ahead and create any kind of presentation that you like. Okay, now just for the sake of this example here, I'm going to start off by using this slide here. Now, the reason why I'm picking this slide is because I say I want to add a title, and then what I want to do is right under that title, I want to add a picture. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to type in what I want my title to be. Now, you see where it says click to add a text? You can click there and do just that. Now, the good thing with PowerPoint is great with keeping bullet points because, again, the purpose of PowerPoint is to give like information in brief statements. So, in giving brief statements, it follows like a bullet point type format. So it's not like saying, okay, you don't have to put all of the text in here, but just some important points that you can govern your presentation on because it's supposed to be more verbal, if anything. But if you notice here, right in the center, you have these little 6 little icons. Now, the reason why these are in place here is because it's saying, okay, if I want to insert a table, this is the kind of slide that I can use to insert a table. Same thing with a chart, a SmartArt graphic, insert a picture from a file, insert clip art, and insert a media clip. Now, again, most people tend to start off with just a blank slide, which technically you can do. The only problem is that it makes it harder to lay everything out with a blank presentation, whereas PowerPoint says, okay, we're going to help you out along the way. We're going to give you some settings here where when you incorporate certain features, it gives it a cleaner, crisper look. Have you ever tried to use who's ever tried to use PowerPoint? Just by a brief show of hands. Okay, for those who've done PowerPoint, have you ever tried to insert a text and you had to like change the size of the text and it became more difficult and more taskful? That's because you're probably using a different type of format. Here it says I want to insert a picture from a file. So the first thing I'm going to do is when I'm making my PowerPoint presentations, I get all the pictures that I'm going to need, or as I need them along the way, I go online or I use a resource that I have for that picture and I put them in a folder. That way they're all located in one place. So just as a word, when you go to like building your PowerPoint slides for the class, inside of your advanced folder, you may want to create a folder that says pictures. That way all your pictures are located in one place. They're on Dropbox. You don't have to worry about them being stored locally on a computer because they're going to travel with you. So just as a footnote, you know, and you may want to take an opportunity to do that at some point. You're not doing it right now, but at some point in your advanced folder, create another folder called pictures. So as you're going online, you know how you can right click on a picture, it says copy? You can right click on a picture, also do save as. And I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to do animations and transitions. So I'm going to go online and I'm going to go hunting. And what I want a picture of? Who? Castles? Okay. Now again here, I want to go to images. So I use Google as my search engine. I always tend to use it as a default. Some people like to use Axe.com. Some people like to use Bing, Yahoo, etc. But there's also a click option that says images. So when I typed in castle, if I click on images, every single picture should have some kind of castle or reference to a castle to it. Now you have a lot of options to choose from. And if you scroll down some, it goes on and on and on. It gives you you got to think of so many pictures online. Anything that deals with a castle is going to be here. That Google has on their server, on their files. Okay, I like this one here. So what I do is, okay, once you identify a picture that you like, I tend to do a right click. Now you see that old copy function that you guys like to use? Okay, I like to do a save picture as.
What's the purpose of that?
That I always have it in case something happens to it. So here on my desktop, and this is just a purpose, I'm just going to put a new folder on my desktop here.
So when you click save picture as, this shows up.
Right, it's going to ask you where you want to save your pictures.
Right.
Now I have something on my desktop called My Pictures.
But what if you had it in your advanced folder, like you wanted us
And
to?
and that's fine.
How would you go to get it?
How would you go get it?
Yeah.
You simply go right there and pull it in. Okay, and I'll get to that in 1 second.
Okay.
So now just for the sake of the class here for the desktop, I'm going to just create a new folder. And I'm going to label it Advanced Pictures. So I create the folder. I'm going to double click on it. And I'm going to save this file. Now, you see where it says file name and it gives you some like random name for it?
Yeah.
Name it something that you can easily attach it to, that when you go looking for it in your folder, you know exactly what that picture is. So I'm going to say castle.
Right.
And I'm going to click save. Okay, now I already have an idea of what my example is going to be. So I'm going to take this back up.
Now show me on the screen.
Wait a minute. Again, so I'm going to do another example. So again, I seen the picture that I want. I do a right click. This drop down, this pop-up window opens up. I'm going to do a save as. Now again, because I was just last in that advanced pictures folder, it's going to automatically default back to that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to save it in there. I'm going to save as Prince, Princess, and save.
You double click on the picture,
I just did a single right click.
but you had to choose which one you wanted. So
I did. Once I seen the one that I wanted, which was right here,
Right.
I just did a right click,
Okay.
and then that option shows up.
Okay.
Okay, so right now I have what I need in order to do the example here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to minimize this here, and I'm going to go back here. So now what I want to do is, it says, back down to this option, it says insert picture from file. Now, of course, you know Microsoft has clip art. So the option right next to it is clip art. But as you know, Microsoft is limited on the type of pictures that they offer you as clip art. That's why it's always best to have your own, okay, and find your own online. So I'm going to insert picture from a file because that's what it is. I'm going to click this option here. Now it's going to ask me where my pictures look, where am I getting my file from? Well, I know I made a folder on my desktop, so I'm going to click on desktop. And here's my advanced picture folder. I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to pick Castle. Now watch what happens. Now if you notice, it brought the picture in. Now it didn't bring the picture in full size, but if you notice, it gives it a cleaner look. You don't have to stress about shrinking it to the side of the page. If anything, the only thing you may want to do is make it larger. But if you notice, again, take a look at when I clicked it in there, PowerPoint kind of built it into the slide, and it saves you the stress of saying, oh my God, it's too big. I can't fit it on inside the slide. It's already in there. It's a cleaner look. And the only thing, if anything, I want to do is I may want to make it bigger. And we all know how to make pictures bigger. You see these little dots that are on the corners and on the sides? That allows you to stretch your picture. If I want to recenter it, I could do that. If I want to make it larger, or if I want to make it wider, here's your options to make it wider, more lengthy, and then of course, making the whole picture a little bigger.
Oh, so the end one kind of brought the picture forward.
Right. These circular ones at the end, they stretch the entire picture in that direction that you're dragging it. The ones in the center, this right here, these make it wider or thinner. The ones at the top in the center make them, it kind of like does the same thing. It brings it down, it shrinks it, or it can make it lengthier. But it gives you those options so that you can manipulate the picture to how you want it based on that slide. It doesn't just give you options just from the four corners. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, okay, my picture's in place. It looks good. You know, I'm just going to go and create a new slide. So again, here's my new slide option. Now, you see how when I clicked on layout here, if I click on new slide, I get those same options. So what it says is, okay, whatever that next slide is going to be, I want it to look like that. I want to have that format. So again, I have a picture here. Now these icons right here, anything that has that little center icon there, those means you can insert a picture into those files. Now, that does not say that the one that says title only or blank that you can't. It just makes it a lot more harder to manage and create things. But at the same time, if you're real creative, you can do whatever you want to a blank slide. Okay. But I'm a neat guy, so I like things to look a little neater. So I'm going to pick this one here.
So why do you think that's neater than the other?
Because PowerPoint gives you these default layouts, just like how in Word it gives you a template for a resume or a template for certain type of letters, because it gives you a layout of how it's supposed to look, and it gives it a professional look and feel. PowerPoint does the same thing with their slide layouts. They say, okay, I'm going to save you the stress of having to try to fit this picture inside the slide, I'm going to put it inside the slide and make it look neat for you. Only thing you have to do is make it larger or make it smaller. But it's already in there. It's cleaner. The background is still clear. It gives you more room to add more features and more types of animations and more design to your slide without having to deal with the stress of, oh my God, I can't get this picture here, or Mr. Crane, I can't get this picture inside the slide. It's too big. How do I make it smaller? It kind of, thank you. It kind of makes it, it kind of shrinks it to size and then it says, okay, you can kind of like go from here. So I like to use this one here. Now again, I'm inserting a picture from a file. So I'm going to click this option here. Now again, remember it's going to go back to the last place where I was, the last folder I was in, because it's going to assume I want to go back there. That's not necessarily the case, but for us it's going to be. I'm going to click on Prince and Princess. Now notice it does the same thing. It kind of puts it in the center. It looks real neat. So again, if I click on it, I can stretch it. I can move it over. And this is a lot easier to do as opposed to it being too large and then you have to shrink it into size.
By the way you stretch it, it's not going to go outside the box.
Exactly. Well, it can. You can do that.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. But what PowerPoint does with it automatically keeps it inside and it formatted it for you.
So when you got the situation there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to write something in that box.
You don't have to.
Can you put another picture in that box?
Yes, you can. You can, if you want to. But again, it won't be a formatted field for a picture.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that you can't put one in there.
Okay.
But that would be a copy and paste then. So.
Yeah.
Right. That'd be a copy and paste, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a basic 2-slide presentation. It was real easy to do. It took, what, a couple minutes, 5 minutes maybe? Okay. Okay, and you'll get to a point where it'll be that way for you too, Miss Catherine. I like your motivation because you're going to be the same way after a while.
What, can I ask you a question?
Yes,
The PowerPoint, right? I thought you could make it like move.
that's where we're about to go into next. I'm so glad you said that because, okay, this is what you guys did last week. So you're familiar with this part already. Okay, and if I want to make this a little larger so people can actually see it, of course, you know the same features up here. You can make the text larger. The same word features are in here. All right, so now I have 2 basic layouts here. Now, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to insert something called a transition. Now, transitions are up here in this tab here, so you're going to go to a new ribbon now. Now, there's certain things, now this is where I'm going to kind of like allow you guys to write down certain things because there's certain definitions I want you guys to kind of like be able to kind of, and after a while you'll know what they'll do, but for right now you can go ahead and write them down. Okay, transitions are things that happen in between slides is that motion that happens going from one slide to the next.
That happens in between slides.
Right. It's called a transition. Now, if you notice here, I'm going to go kind of work my way back to the left. It says advanced slide. Now, you have a couple of options here. Now, you have an option to make this thing totally click enabled, where for every single thing that shows up, you have to either click the mouse or hit the space bar for it to happen. After a while, that gets tedious and it gets uneventful. And it sort of takes away from the transition and the animation feature. So what we're going to do is click on after, and we're going to take off on mouse click. Now, you see where it says advanced slide, and it says after. Okay, what that is saying, okay, no matter what's going on in this particular slide, I want you to advance to the next slide after this many seconds.
Oh.
Okay, so in here, I'm going to say I only want this to be here for not even that. Oh no, not 10 minutes. That's too long. Yeah,
How about 59 seconds?
even that's going to be too long.
Really?
Yeah,
A minute.
let's say 8 seconds.
Okay, so you took the check mark off of the on mouse
Need
click.
anybody clicking the mouse.
Right. It takes away from somebody, you telling somebody, do this. This way. Remember in BBC, you gave a nonverbal cue saying next one, but you had some kind of, you did some of this in BBC where you had some kind of like animation and transitions inside your slides. So now, what it is here,
Duration?
that duration is 2 seconds. So let's take that. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go to slideshow, and I'm going to say, let me pick a transition. So which one do I? Now you see here, you see a selection here. Click on this down arrow, and you have some more. Now, one of my favorite ones, I like this one.
Glitter. I like that. Yeah.
Okay, now when you go to slideshow, now whenever you add something to PowerPoint, take a second, click on slideshow, and click on from the beginning or from the current slide and see exactly if it's doing what you want it to do. Don't go through 10 or 12 slides, then run the slideshow and be like, uh-oh, this is not what I want, because then you make it more taskful. Do it slide by slide. That way it's building. And that way, if anything, if you need to make any changes, you can make it from that point going forward. So I'm going to click from the beginning. Now you see how it lasted. How long did it last? About what? 2 seconds. All right. So I'm going to hit escape. Now when you hit escape, that takes it out of presentation mode. So I'm going to go back to my transition. Duration. So the slide is lasting 2 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to increase that just a little bit and make it 5 seconds. So again, I'm going to go to slideshow from the beginning. I'm going to hit escape. It was still fast. So, but then the good thing about it is you can always adjust.
I would make it 10 seconds.
If you sit on mouse click again.
Okay, and I need to fix this here. So after, advance to the next slide after, we said 5 seconds. Duration, let's make it 2 seconds. No, make it 4 seconds.
So duration is how many minutes it's going to sit on.
How many
the slide,
seconds?
How many seconds it's going to sit on. the
And then
slide,
after,
then it will switch over to the next
yes.
slide.
Yes. Now have you noticed? Now you notice what happened?
Yeah, take this time.
Now count. Now it's at about 5 seconds, it's going to go to the next one.
Yeah.
You see what happened there? Who wants to see that again?
I need to.
Okay. Okay, no problem. I have no problem taking my time with this part here, or ever. Okay, the 5 seconds here, duration means how long that slide is going to last. So whatever needs to happen in that slide, whatever you want to happen in that slide needs to be within the confines of that duration time. So whatever you want to do in 5 seconds, you need to make it happen.
So if
You can
do a
always-
speaking presentation, you need to speak in 5 seconds.
No, you can make it longer. You can make, remember,
I'm saying if you set the time for 5 seconds.
right. You better say what you got to say because it's gonna change after 5 seconds. It's gonna go to the next slide. Now, if you know, I'll go back up here. Now it says it does the cube. It lasts 4 seconds, and then after 5 seconds. So this particular transition lasted 4 seconds. You see what it says duration? That's the length of the transition time. So if you want to write that down real quick,
What?
The actual movement's 4
right,
seconds, and then the actual viewing is 5.
right. Okay, so duration is the length of the slide transition. So if you want to write that down, you want to go ahead and do
Duration
it.
is the length
Duration is the length
of
of the transition time.
the,
And we know that transitions occur in between slides.
right.
Okay, who's with me so far?
Mhm.
I'm going to do it again. Don't worry. I'm going to add another picture and another slide. We'll do the same thing.
So duration is the middle of the transitional slide
Transition time, right.
time.
Like, you know how it was like it turned into a cube and it turned into the next slide? That lasted 4 seconds. Now, you see where it says advanced slide? Right up here? Okay, in that section, it means just that. So after 5 seconds, once it does a transition in 4 seconds, it's going to sit there. After 5 seconds, it's going to automatically go to the next slide. So whatever, like, now, and you'll notice you may have more things that you may want to do with your presentation where you may want to expand that time. I'm just using short times here just for brevity and just so that you can see exactly how it's working. But it's going to say advance to the slide automatically after 5 seconds. So it's not going to wait for a click. It's not going to wait for someone to hit the space bar. It's going to automatically do it on its own. Tracy?
So would you have to set the timer on each slide, or would that go for the whole presentation?
Now, I'm glad you said that. It's a good question. I love these thought out questions. Thank you. Tell them, Demetrius. Okay, you see where it says apply to all?
Where?
You see where it says apply to all right here?
Uh-huh.
That means you can apply those two settings to all of your slides if you want to. So you can make all of your transitions 4 seconds, and whatever time you have to advance to the next slide, you can make that the same length in all of your slides.
Yeah, you have to press that individual slide, or once you press, you just.
Once you click apply to all, it's going to do just that. Yes.
So you don't have to apply to all.
You just click it that one time, and you'll see. If you go to create a new slide, look and see if that setting is the default in there. If not, then go back to the first one, click it again, and then it'll populate in.
Should it rotate twice if you set it for that?
It won't rotate.
Go through all the slides and go back again?
It won't rotate twice. What it says apply to all is, okay, every time I go through a transition, that transition is going to last 4 seconds. Before it automatically goes to the next slide, it's going to sit on that slide for 5 seconds. Then it's going to go to the next one. So what happens is, and this is a visual, this is 4 seconds, because I'm a cube, on the slide. It's going to sit there for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to take 4 seconds. And it's going to go to the next. It's going to go to the next slide. It's going to sit there for 5 seconds. 5 more seconds goes. 4 seconds for the transition. You see, it does that kind of like give you idea of what it's doing. It's doing just that.
But
You-
you don't
you-
want it to be too slow, but then you don't want it to be too fast.
It all depends on the transition and how you want that transition to look.
Animated effect.
Right. Some people may want that cube to go just like that, so they may say a tenth of a second.
Okay, okay.
Right. You can set the timing to however you want, however fast or slow you want that transition to be. But sometimes if you make it too slow, it takes away from certain transitions.
That's what I was thinking, just take away.
Right.
It becomes boring, really.
Right.
The best we can last slide lasts for a while. And then just
Right. Okay, so,
That's my
okay, guys, hold on 1 second. So again, we're going to click on slideshow. I'm going to go from the beginning. So it took 4 seconds to go there, and then it sat there for 5 seconds, and then it automatically went to the next slide. Now the reason why this isn't doing anything is because I haven't set anything in here yet. Right, so it doesn't know what to do after this
But
point.
even though you said apply to all, it didn't apply to them.
But there's nothing after that. So the only thing you would see after there was in slide. Because that was the last slide.
But the picture didn't turn and everyone just.
Because it was the last one. Because there's nothing for it to transition to. Remember, only have 2 slides over here.
Yeah, but after the first picture, the second picture disappeared. It didn't transition in. It didn't 4 seconds.
No, remember the transition happens in between slides. I didn't set a feature. I didn't set it in here yet. So I have
When
to.
you said apply to all,
I didn't click that. I didn't click
Oh, you
it.
didn't?
No, I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't click apply to all. I was just saying that's what that feature is for.
Okay, apply to all. Let us see that.
Sure. So I clicked apply to all. And I'm gonna run the slideshow again.
What happened?
And when you do that,
It doesn't turn out.
Set it.
you have to reset it.
See, because it went up.
Gotta
to
reset
mouse
it.
click. See where it says one mouse click and it went up there.
I'm glad you guys noticed that because that's what happens whenever you change a feature animation. It's going to change your timing because it's going to assume you want to change that too. So again, after
You gotta know duration,
right,
then you gonna put it on after. And then you're gonna apply to all.
Okay.
I want to take it off on mouse click. I'm going to say apply to all, and now let's run it and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
It's still not turning.
Oh, yeah, I didn't select the cube transition. I'm sorry. So remember, if you notice, I just clicked a different transition. It changed the duration timing. All. And now let's slideshow from beginning slide.
.4 seconds won't work on this.
That was 4 seconds.
That's too long.
Right. It takes away from the fact, but you see it served its purpose. Now you see how when I clicked apply to all, it did it to all of them. It transitioned the same way. And then you see what happens here? It goes to the last slide. Because we clicked apply to all, it took those 2 settings and applied it to every single slide. So every transition is going to be the same transition for the same length of time, and it's going to stay on that slide for the same length of time before it advances again to the next slide.
Is there a limit to how many slides per year?
No,
Not just 3.
no, you can have, I've seen 100 slide presentations.
Okay. this, y'all. I look at TV and I see how they did it on the commercials and stuff.
Yeah, you noticed that.
Yeah. You watch the TV, you notice it.
All right. So who has somewhat of an idea? Who thinks they're okay so far? Okay. Who feels a little bit more comfortable? Who still feels completely lost? You always say that, Catherine. So, yeah, she's always all right. Priscilla, too. They're just probably over. Okay, guys, remember, don't overthink it, because that's when you start to overthink it, that's when you start to, like, do too much, and then it becomes, you know, kind of like harder than what it has to be. Just, it's pretty intuitive once you know what certain things do. That's the key with PowerPoint with transitions and animation. Once you figure out what does what, after that, it's easy. The only thing you have to work with is, okay, what transition I want in between which slide, because the same transition doesn't have to be between each slide. You can select different transitions.
So you gonna let us try it now?
Yes, but I'm not done. I just did transitions. I didn't do anything but an animation. All right?
I know you should let us do transitions and then go to animate and then do both together.
Okay, so I'm going to show you both. And I'm going to give you an assignment where you have to incorporate both.
No,
But nothing too stressful, nothing too difficult. I'm not going to kill you guys.
how did you bring this to one at a time?
Chris, I'll look at it if you want me to, but Chris usually gives feedback on his students, but I'll look at it if you want me to. Okay. Okay. So guys, okay, don't fret, because the assignment is not going to be hard. You're like, oh my God, already? No. I may ask for one transition and one animation. That's it. So it doesn't have to be a 10-point or 10-slide presentation. It's going to be something very easy to start off with, and we're going to continue to build from there. Okay, guys? Don't worry. I got you. I got you covered. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to insert another slide.
Wait, I don't see my notes, but you should wrote some notes down, man. I don't like my notes.
Picture with caption.
Picture with caption.
So again, now this one only gives you one option. It says you can only insert a picture from a file. So that means you have to go to your pictures file, find the picture, but you can't use clip art.
But you copy and paste?
You can copy and paste, or you could do like I did. I went online, saved my picture, and then went to that folder. I'd rather do that anyway.
In this instance where it says picture, whatever it said there, it said picture, and it only had that little picture.
Right.
Insert picture from file. You couldn't put text there either?
Let's see if it let us. Nope. Not let me do anything. It's telling you, it says click icon to add picture. So it's telling you exactly what that particular box is built for. So I'm going to go online again. And let's see if we can add to this story.
How you went online? What you do? Minimize?
Internet Explorer.
The frog print.
I didn't see how you did it.
So we can't add a text box in there?
No, because it's only asking for your picture.
Come on.
You can add a text box. Then you can type it.
But that again,
The picture is still there, but you can keep a separate text box.
right, but then it is going to, it may distort that default field. So what I do is, as opposed to putting a text box in there, use the caption field under it, because the caption field is built more for text as opposed to trying to force. Like, I know you guys like using text boxes because that's what you were taught, but sometimes they could do more harm than good, especially when it comes to a presentation. Because what happens is when you insert a text box into your PowerPoint and then you run your PowerPoint slide as a PowerPoint show, what happens is stuff stays in the background because you didn't click out of it. So for example, you put a text box in there and that's fine, but what's going to happen is when you run that slideshow, that square may still be in the background. If you don't have enough wherewithal to like click it off and get rid of it, it's going to be back there. It's going to mess up that particular slide for the presentation. So that's why, I'm not saying it's impossible to do, but I don't want you to get in the habit of like deviating from what the slide is intended to do. Again, you don't want to like try to go against what the slide is, that particular layout is built for, because then you make work more harder for yourself. If it's a box or a field that says include caption or text here, just put it in there. Now sometimes, yes, again, if you want to go on your own and put in text box, use the blank presentation. Just keep in mind you're managing everything from that point. Whereas some people may like to have things guided or help them along the way, and that's what the layouts are for. Right.
All right.
And again, I type the text in, and I can format it just like in Word. Now again, if I want to change those things, I go back to the Home tab, and here's your basic formatting toolbar or your ribbon. I want to change that to
I noticed when you clicked on that sentence, a picture of the format came up there too.
yes.
So would you be able to use that?
Me up here.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry. In the
in the wording. Down
give me a second here.
Text.
You mean one of these options up here?
there. When you don't want to see the side of it, it's too cute. When you clicked on the back,
Right.
I guess you were highlighting it so that you could change the word size, the letter size.
Yes.
But a little picture came up down there of the formatting, but I don't see it.
Oh, okay. I see. I know what you're referring to. Okay, so if I select all of this,
Here, see
I seen it.
that?
Yeah. I can do the same thing. I can do a right click and it'll bring that over. So yeah, that right click will take it to the same place. But just for for reference, I will refer you back to the home ribbon, because that's where you know where things are. But you discover something new. So I mean, if you want to try, do the right click and modify from there, you can, because the options are there for you. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a transition.
Vortex.
I like that. No, I like that.
Yeah, that's what you need because you flipped it.
Yeah. Now you see, as you're clicking on the different ones, it's showing you what it's going to do. It doesn't mean you selected it. It's just saying if you were to select it, this is how it's going to look.
So you double click that?
No, it's a single
You wanted
click.
it. I mean, if you wanted it, it's just enter.
See, you have all these different. I like that one.
Yeah, we said the same side.
Yeah, see, if I click on ripple,
It goes to the next slide.
goes to that evil person. And you have, and again, you have all these different options here to choose from.
Vortex, see what vortex.
Vortex. So again, I have options. I certainly have plenty of options to, to choose from. Orbit, fly through, window, did I show you? I'll show you a good number of them. Let me see this one here. And that's a basic one, but as you get more creative and as you start to like get more comfortable with it, you start like choosing different options and you start seeing your work look a lot more creative. So I'm gonna go back to, let's see what that's about. Nah, that's kind of dull. Honeycomb? That's honeycomb. Now remember, how long do you want that transition to last is your duration. Now, PowerPoint gives you a default time based on the type of transition. So you see how it says 1.4 seconds? Because it's saying that's an appropriate amount of time for this transition to look effective. To get, again, you can slow it down, you can make it quicker if you want to, but it gives you that default there, and you can tend to stick with it and trust it.
So don't
It'll give you an option there. Then again, do you want the last 5 seconds? Yes. I'm going to keep it at 5 seconds. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an animation. Let's see here. Under Animations tab. I'm sorry. Now, right next to the transitions is animations. Now, animations are what the actual picture is going to do. Transitions are what happens in between slides. Animations are what happens inside of the slide.
Inside.
Like actually what kind of effects are going to happen in this particular slide.
So you can do both transition and animation at one time in the picture.
You can set them, yeah. You can set it all up. Now remember, transitions only are effective when it's going from one slide to the next. That's transition.
Right.
Animation is, okay, now if I want something to happen here, these are some of the options that I have. And again, if you click on the down arrow, there's a lot more. And you have more entrance effects here to choose from.
Back there when you hit on, when you pull down the window of all the animation, it has the same thing in green and red.
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question.
I see. One is the entrance, one is the exit.
Right.
Okay.
And just to touch on this real quick, you can't have an entrance and an exit on the same picture.
Can't?
You can either have one or the other. So entrance is, okay, when the picture comes in, that effect happens then. For exiting effects, the picture will just automatically be there when you go to that slide, and that effect happens as it's going away. So it's doing just that. The emphasis is something completely different. You can add an emphasis.
Along with the entrance? Going next?
There's it's sort of in there, in here somewhere. They're sort of like the same because you have more entrance effects, and some of them are still in here. So when you click on more entrance effects, a lot of those are in here. already. So you may find them already in there. If not, you can always check to see if you can have an emphasis and an entrance, and you'll see what happens.
You move that over. From the
Sure.
Yeah. I see a difference.
Well, now see with the interest with the animation effects, that's a little bit more like to change it. I'm gonna click on OK. Now I'm gonna click this one here. Now these are the default ones. The ones at the top layer, it'll show you those like right off the bat. Now I'm gonna use that one there. Now,
Which one is white?
Shake.
Yeah.
Let me shake.
say it again.
You shake the one.
White. And if you're not sure, you just click back on the picture and it'll highlight exactly which one you selected.
So, animation effect.
Mm-hmm.
Is work on like it doesn't work. It works on any picture.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a cartoon. Like a lot of pictures. Like a picture of you. That you
Same thing.
Okay,
Because it's a picture from a file.
gotcha.
So a picture from a file could be something you've gotten offline. It could be something you've taken a picture of someone. Last term, I took pictures of everyone in Demetrius' class, and I sent them the pictures of them, and they made like brief bios using like different PowerPoint slides. So they were able to do whatever they wanted with those pictures. They could make them spin in, and they were live pictures of people. So it is regardless of what the content of the picture is, the fact that it's a picture from a file.
It's whatever you place on your side.
Yes. No. And did you notice what I just did there? Okay. What I did was, now you see how these were like boxes where you can incorporate text? You can also incorporate animations to text as well, to a set of text. So what I did was, I noticed that this was a text box, so what I did was I did a solid one click on it so that the line is solid going around it, the border is a solid border, and then I just simply created an effect for that. Same thing for this one here. I made sure it was dotted, and then I click on it so that it's a solid line, and I added an effect there. Now, you see where it says 1, 3, and 2? That's the order in which they're going to come in. Now, yeah. Oh my God, this is great. Isn't this happy, happy, joy, joy? I love it. So, and she notices, and this was actually not on purpose. I realized once I was doing it, I should have did that one first, but I still committed to it, because what I could do is I could click this one here, and you see where it says reorder animation? I can move it earlier so that it switches. Now it's saying start after previous. And let me see here. I want this one to be now what I'm doing, I'm just setting the timings here. And you'll see exactly what's going to happen here.
So delay it's like pause or something.
Right. A delay is is just that. Exactly.
I got a hard one for you tomorrow.
Hold on 1 second because I want you. Oh, okay. All right.
She replied should be like a quick lickety out thing.
Right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do it from the beginning. There's the lovely castle. Like castle. Remember, it was 4 seconds. It was 5 seconds to a transition. But she's like, "What took you so long to get me out of here?" Prince Joe, you should have sent me a text.
So you can use multiple options. Each picture can have its own way of showing up.
Right. Yeah. Well, now that's the thing. Okay. Now I need to go back here, and I can adjust that. I can adjust that timing.
You see how the end of it
Mm-hmm.
came in first?
No, it didn't. It came in order.
Oh, I don't know.
It came right in order. Mm-hmm.
I'm saying down there, you want to see, it came in, see the side of me. It's
Yeah,
not
it
just
did
cute,
that,
then
yeah.
you don't want to. Came at the end.
It was the way that it came in. So let's do it again. I'm gonna do it from the beginning. Now remember, this transition was 4 seconds. Now the picture's there. 5 seconds. It's gonna go to the next one. So she's kind of like feeling some kind of way about this. He's like, all you do is send me a text. Like, what's wrong with you? She's like, whoa.
See?
It's the way that the animation came in.
So you
That's-
got changed.
Right. So the animation came in clockwise. So that's why that it started and made that round. If I did counterclockwise, it would have came in. Or if there's a counterclockwise option, it would have came in backwards that way.
So maybe you don't need a clockwise. Maybe you
I could just add, I could make it enough of animation altogether.
What are these icons? This one and that. What are they? I mean, I'm copies of
Is there any kind of way you can put the writing in order? It comes in word after word.
you just changed
Yeah,
that.
that's.
Yeah.
It's a word, huh?
That will be some work. Yeah. It's doable. Then you be dealing with a series of text boxes or a series of animations inside of a particular field. So you literally will be highlighting every word and then having it come in back to back to back like that. I mean, if you want to go for it,
No, I'm just asking.
go for it. But yes, you can.
No, I'll take a little at a time.
You don't wear Steve wedges.
Yes,
Come on, we finally said this way.
In about 15, 20 minutes.
longer. Look, I'm not ready to go home.
But look, again, I'm just covering all the basics, and then I'm gonna do another example because, again, if you can get past this part, everything else in PowerPoint literally is cake.
Oh,
It really, really is. This is the most difficult part people have with making PowerPoints is the transitions and animations because they can't seem to
get it together.
get it together exactly. But if you can get
You
past,
can't cloud your mind too much. You got to release it. Then come back and say.
Amen.
and she has her release right in her hand too. just give me a few more minutes, and then what I'll do is I can start break a little early because when we come back, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the assignment to work on because you may want to start toying with the different features, and that may take time in its own. But I just want to make sure everyone has some comfort level with it before I let you guys go. Cause I don't want to like leave you guys hanging with like any kind of like outlying concerns or questions.
I
Okay.
ain't gonna lie, I'm lost.
Which part?
All
Okay. And again, so what I'm gonna do is when we come back from break, for those who still need like the extra session, I'll keep the GoToMeeting running, and we'll do another example while the others are doing their work, and then you can just always pick up from that point.
I just wish you would broke it down.
I couldn't.
He's gonna write it down.
Again, I did say at the beginning of class, I'm gonna go very slow so you can take
I
notes.
did write it down, but I still don't understand. Look at it. I wrote it down. I don't understand my notes.
Again, so
So I wrote it down.
that's probably why, because you're usually sharper than
Yeah, I
that.
know it's like that.
Okay. All right. So again, I'm gonna run it just one more time, just so that you can see the. And again, like if I wasn't going through this process with you guys, this really took a couple of minutes, if that. Okay, guys, pay attention to the slide transition.
I'm sorry. Can you do that again? I'm sorry. I was.
Now remember, anytime you want to stop your slideshow, you just hit the escape button. It automatically backs out of it.
Escape button.
Upper left-hand corner of the keyboard.
Oh, escape.
Yes. You see it, Miss Catherine?
No.
On a keyboard.
Oh.
Right next to F1.
Okay.
So from the beginning. So again, remember, you asked yourself, some people said, well, why does it take us so long? Remember, we set it for 4 seconds. So that's the time we have it set for. Again, her face is frowning. Now, y'all have all done this at one point. See, I'm sure you all can relate to this.
That's always your response. So you could have just.
So you know what? For each slide, you can do a different animation transition onto.
Say it again.
You can do a different for each slide. 1, 2, and 3. I can do something different with it, right?
Yes,
Okay.
you can.
And in the order you got it lined up at, you can change that order, right?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I like that right there, making the screen thing.
But I have to remember for 5 seconds. Just 4 seconds.
What about putting it on a loop?
We didn't put it on a loop.
Like you can put it on a loop and where just go back to the first.
Yeah, that's the one. We haven't gotten there yet. Because for right now, there'll be no reason for you to loop it. So I want to like embark on something that we haven't, like we need to touch on right now. I just want to like kind of keep it focused just on the animation transitions.
See, I'm make the mouth move.
To who?
The mouth move.
No.
Okay, and that's a good question. You can't make the mouth move because the picture is a still picture. So you can't make it do something that it wasn't built to do. So it's just a picture, unfortunately. But there was a certain slide where you can insert a clip. And if you save certain clips certain ways, you can incorporate videos. Like I incorporated, you know how I record my classes? Just for the purpose of showing them, I brought in my YouTube clip for one of my classes, and inside the slide was showing that recorded class because it was saved as a certain way. So you could bring in a video clip. So
Then once you showed your friends, they modified it on PowerPoint.
no, they didn't do that.
Jamar,
Yes.
you don't want to see the side of me. You see how you had to turn it around. Which effect was that?
Good question. So let's click on this box here. And it's a swivel.
Okay.
Now remember, when you click on the box, whatever animations inside that box is going to be highlighted.
Okay, got it.
Just like when I click on this picture here, you see where it says white? That's the animation effect that I assigned it.
Oh, okay.
And each picture can have its own individual.
Animation.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're gonna give us a presentation. I smell it. I smell it.
Okay, so any questions on this right now? Okay, Ms. Rita?
What did the animation?
Okay, guys, listen up because someone else's question may be your question.
What did the animation do?
Animation, that's okay, so for here, for her face, her animation was that wipe. So if I click on wipe, that's what it did.
Okay. Yeah.
Now if I
Luminous.
right now if I do the from this current slide, you see what happened?
That's the transition.
Right, the transition was that little vortex thing, and then the actual animation was the wiper. Because we're adding another thing to it. It's not hard.
Okay, I'm out.
All right, so guys, it's 10:50. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you guys go and take your 15 now. Come back at 11:05, and your assignment will be in your inbox waiting for you. So for those who want to get started at 11:05, okay, guys, listen up before you go. At 11:05, I'm gonna go over the instructions on what I want to see inside the PowerPoint. That way, for those who want to get started, you can. For those who are still need a couple or more examples, at least you have an idea. So I'm going to go over the directions first.
Okay.
Then for those who are ready to go on, I'll release you to go and do your own work independently. And for those who want the extra help, you can just follow me and we'll do another example.
Okay. All right.
So 11:05.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Now, for those who are still with me, you should see my blank PowerPoint presentation on the screen. So again, I'm starting from scratch. So we're going to build about 3 or 4 slides from here. Again, nothing major. I'm just going to add a transition or two and an animation or two for each slide, or I'm going to apply the same one to all of them. So for right here, this is my default layout. Now I'm going to go. I'm going to stick with this here.
So are you going to use the two photos you saved? One before, where it's kind of cute, one after?
Say it again.
You're going to use those two photos you did before of the princess?
No.
Before and after?
No, I have different pictures here, but again, you know, I'm just doing a new example just so that you can kind of like feel like doing exactly everything of what I did all over again. Winner?
When you first started, you was PowerPoint, right?
Right, I open up PowerPoint, and PowerPoint gives you a default view. And you can change that layout at any time. So again, if you don't want to use this layout here, you don't have to. You can now again to change that, you could click in the second ribbon box. There's an option right here called layout. If you click on that down arrow, it gives you a list of layout options for your slide. I just happened to use that one that they gave it because I had a title and a subtitle.
All right, wait a minute, come on, slow down now.
I didn't go anywhere.
All right, where we at?
Okay, we're at the very beginning, so I'm creating a PowerPoint presentation here. Okay, so I'm doing it on marriage. Okay, so that's my title. So then I say, is it an institution or an institution? And you can take that however you like. All right, so now from here, of course, I want to add a new slide. So here's your option to add a new slide. Now, before you click on new slide, click on the down arrow right next to it. That way you can tell what that next new slide is going to look like, how you want it to lay out. So again, I'm going to make this one, you know, pretty straightforward. Now again, like what you were saying, I have the option of just adding text to this here, or also I could just take the opportunity to add a picture here. So of course I'm going to add a picture. I'm going to incorporate one from a file, and so again, I'm going to, you know, change the font color. I'm going to make it, you know, do something different here. I'm going to bold it. So right now I'm just doing some basic features again, just like we were in Word. Okay. So I'm going to create my next slide, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick which one I want to do. I'm going to follow the same thing, just as far as the layout, just for consistency's sake. Now, text align says where in this particular box you want that to be placed. Of course, I want it in the middle. So I centered it first, and then I put it in the middle. So again, I'm going to do some basic features here. Now, these things you guys already know how to do, so that's why I'm kind of like not saying anything for this part here. And notice I covered the faces to, you know, protect the anonymity.
That's fine.
So what I'm doing here is I'm setting all the pictures and things up first, and then I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to add the fun stuff. Okay?
Now, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, here where it says picture style,
Is that considered like a border?
I was going to incorporate that to the next one. No, that's a good question. I'm about to incorporate that just to show you exactly what it is. So new slide.
I tried to use it, and basically I didn't see a difference when I was doing it. I see you putting this right over the little icon box or something. It's not gonna show up in the background.
Say it again.
See the pictures right where your cross is. This background part, that's not gonna show up, is it?
That purple part,
Down there, yeah. In between them, yeah.
that little 1, 2, 3 RF.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. And that's something I want you guys to pay attention to, the details that are in the pictures. Because sometimes pictures may look good at first glance, and then when you're going to incorporate them, they may have some kind of like word in there that you can't get rid of because it's part of the picture. But for this here, notice what I did was I made this an oval shape because I followed this layout here. If I wanted to, you see, if I change the borders around, it gives one without a border. It follows that format, square, picture frame. I like this one here. Now again, I haven't added any transitions yet, so it's not going to do anything yet. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to add those in there. Okay, this one's just going to show. I'm gonna add an animation to it. Why not? Animation. Just going to do a white.
All right, you did that. That went clockwise. Can you reverse that?
If that option is available, yes.
Okay. And how do you find out the option is available?
You kind of like look at the different ones and click on them and see what they're doing. Like when I first started doing PowerPoint, I didn't know exactly what each thing did. That's why I tell you guys to mouse over it to see exactly what it's doing.
Because it'd be nice to have the M start before the E.
Right, and if in order for it to do that, you may have to pick a different type of animation so that it can do just that. Now I want to go down here. Again, now when you're doing text boxes like these here, you have to make sure you click on it so that it's a solid line. Because that solid line means everything inside that box is going to do that animation. Or that animation is going to affect that entire box.
What you mean, like lock it in?
Yes.
Then you change it to black.
No, that's the default for the picture.
Okay.
I noticed you changed all of them. Can you change them one by one?
You can. It's a little tricky to kind of just make it affect that one slide, but you can. And that's pretty much in your features in here. It's in my settings up here, and I'll find it again because I always have to remind myself where it's located. Once I find it, I'll show you exactly so that it's just for that particular slide only. But what happens is typically when you select the slide design, it affects all the slides. But you can also select an option so that it only does it for the one. Right, Diane?
Yes, you know it. Tomorrow,
Yes.
I got a question. So maybe I'll ask her.
Oh.
Again, did I start this next month?
Okay, are you guys still with me here?
Yes.
Do you see me moving the picture up and down?
No. No.
Okay, now can you guys see me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. There we go. So I'm going to take some of those lines. I don't necessarily need all of those.
Now you can fix this right in the you can correct this and not have to go out of it to edit it, like
Right. You can click right inside of it and
right
fix
inside
it. Yeah. Now that's the transition I want for this slide here. Now I'm not going to have it affect all, apply to all, or no, I'm not going to have it apply all because we did it last time. I'm going to show you how you can have different transitions for each different slide.
Okay.
Now for this one, I want it to, I'll go to the next slide. I want that transition to last that long. And I want it to advance to the next slide after 10 seconds.
That's how long.
Well, because I wanted to do some things in here, so with the animation. So with this picture here, I wanted to, let's see if I could pick another entrance effect.
Okay, interest effect is how this comes
In.
into the screen.
Right.
Do we have an exit?
Yes, it's called, it's right, good question. It's right there. It says exit effects, and then it's exit effects right here. So that means when you go to that slide, everything will already be there, and they'll exit out with those effects. It means they'll start going away with those particular animation effects.
Now, yeah, but now you said that when we picked an interest, we had to keep that.
No, you can't use both at the same time for the same picture.
One or the other.
It's either with each picture for animation, you can either have an interest effect or an exit effect. You can't have both. I'm just gonna make this a quick one here. I'm not gonna make it, too random.
I thought reference something they didn't do.
No, because even though when you're doing it this way, you can't do it. You can now correct it. Don't need something there.
Stand up for a second and look at my computer.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yeah. Now, can I do spell check on you?
See, I'm lost because you know what?
Okay, so you went on ahead, so hold on for a second, all right? Because I'm still working with those who are still like needing a refresher.
I'm lost because see what you just did, you just dropped these words in here, right?
I typed them in first, yes.
But then how did you get on the move all like that?
That's under the animation setting. So what I did was, okay, remember 2B was a text box in itself before I started, and I put 2B. That was a box. So I'm adding an animation effects to this box. The animation effect I had was a random bar. So when I click on it, that's what it's going to do inside the show. Now for this one down here, I did the same thing.
Can you have one fade out over the other and not come back? Because you can have them fade in, but can you have them fade out?
That'd be an exit effect.
I mean, on these, in the animation part, at the transition part.
Okay, so if you have to go from the one to the next slide, you want.
Start number 2, it shows to be, and then ponders and that fades out. And then, it's either one and she ponders fades out.
No, everything's going to happen all at one time before we go to the next slide. Or if you want that to happen, you have to make it an exit effect, which means it's going to be there when it gets to that slide. So I'm going to go to the next one. And again, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what's happening right now. Okay, so I need to say after previous, I want this duration to be, I want this one. So you have to select after previous for every one. I want this one to be 2 seconds. I want this one to be a half a second. And I want this one to be 2 seconds.
So that's 3 different commands
Right.
for the same.
Slide. Right. Now keep in mind, that one's 2 seconds. That one's a half a second, so that's 2.5 seconds. This one here is 2 seconds, so that's 4.5 seconds. But so what you can do is, so what you're telling the transition thing is, advance after 10 seconds. You gave yourself plenty of time, so you can actually shorten that. You can say after 8 seconds, go on to the next slide, because you don't want to sit still for too long. So let's do a slideshow from the beginning, and let's see what happens here.
On the topic that I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Now it's gonna wait. It should go to the next one. And if it doesn't, that means I need to go back because I changed the timing, which means I need to go back and I need to fix that timing. So again, remember I told you this part right here could be tedious because whenever you change one thing, it may reset all your other timings. So you kind of have to watch what's happening here. So I wanted to go to the next slide, of course, after 5 seconds we use. Oops, that's 10 seconds. Okay, so now let's see if it works here. Dun 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 dun.
I like that. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I love it.
I see. That's cute.
Bouncing.
Now the reason why this shows up the way it is because I didn't make any settings for it yet. So it's just going to all come in just like it is.
Okay.
So now that it's looking like sort of like how I want it to look, now I can work on this slide here and add some animation and transitions to this one.
Oh.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. Now I'm going to select a different transition for this one. So that's my transition for that slide. Okay, I want to make this a little larger. And again, I'm going to add an animation. So I'm going to try to do different ones here.
Roll and turn.
Okay.
Now remember, that was a box. So again, you could just kind of do the same thing if you want. And here is the next one. So again, you got to make it a solid line. So click on that dotted line so that it turns solid. Then you can give yourself another animation.
Boomerang. Exciting.
Now, again, make sure because you have a transition in here How long is that transition going to last? PowerPoint says 3.9 seconds. You can leave that alone. Okay. After how many seconds is it going to advance to the next slide? You have to tell it what to do. So make sure you add up all your animation timings. So click on that picture. That one is supposed to be, that one's a second. I'm going to make it 2 seconds. And
Y'all can't be the same second?
they can.
Okay.
You can.
But that would be a continuous movement, wouldn't it?
Well, no.
Slide?
No, because remember, there's an order here. Remember? That 0, you see the 0 here? 1, 2, 3? It's going to happen in that order. All in the same number of seconds, though. So again, you have to set these here.
Each time.
Yes.
For every different slide.
For every different animation, yup.
Animation.
Now this one's going to be the same thing. You can make that last a half a second. That's fine. After previous. And this one here. This is a good one here, so you want to make that a little longer.
Not so long.
You want to give the person time to read it. And since there's not a lot there, you don't have to add, a lot of seconds to it. And that's also after previous. Oops. After previous. So now we have our order here. So again, let's kind of see if it's going to do what we want it to do. Slideshow from the beginning. And again, we hadn't done anything to this one yet, so we can go ahead and make that fix. And I see right here that needs to come down some. And I'm going to go here. And I want to add an animation. Let's see which one I want to do now.
Or flying.
I'm going to add an animation for this one. I'll do an entrance one. Okay. Again, nothing too major, nothing too, intricate. Again, just so that you can get a feel of it. Now, change the settings again. So duration, 2 seconds. Do the same thing for the picture. Start on after previous. So that what happens, when you say start on after previous, it's saying after the last one, automatically start doing this one.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to make that one last for 2 seconds with a delay. In fact, I want to make it longer. Oops, wrong way. Now, let's see if it does what I want it to do. And you guys tell me.
Slideshow
Slideshow
at the beginning.
from the beginning.
Let it roll.
Let it roll.
Let it roll.
I don't think I set a transition in here, but I'm gonna see in a minute. Okay, the only thing I didn't do was add a transition, which I'm going to do now. So advance to the next slide after 10 seconds. Now let's rock and roll. Okay. Rock and roll.
You got it. Are y'all watching Leaderboard?
Yes.
Oh,
Some those who were comfortable, I went on getting the assignment. Those who wanted to see another example, I just started another example.
can I interrupt?
Sure.
And why am I interrupting? I want to make sure I have my makeup records correct.
Oh, so how many hours you got to make up for real?
I already worked them up.
All right.
I've done hours of them today. All right. Speaking of Cheryl, did you make up for the first day yet?
Absolutely not.
When are you going to do it?
I don't think so.
What day do you plan on doing it?
Now that I can't answer.
Are you available?
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that?
Yeah.
Can we talk now?
No.
Are you available Friday?
No.
No. Let's talk about that. I'll take you in just a second. Next time unless it's Priscilla.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow is great.
Tomorrow afternoon.
That's fine with me. Sandy's not here, so I can't ask. Monica's not here, so I can't ask.
Tomorrow.
Did you do yours yet from that first day? Going in? I said Liz, but it's left his way. Tomorrow's
We
good?
supposed to go out of this or something?
No, that's him. He got that. That's him doing it with his team.
Yeah. All right, can we go out?
No, that's him doing it.
And Cheryl,
This is my first time.
when you're done with him, we'll talk.
Yeah. Go to the next side. I want to go to the other side. Now, when I want to go to Google, okay, thank you. Where you gonna go?
Okay, so who is okay from that point on? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I already emailed you guys the assignment, and it tells you exactly everything that should be in the PowerPoint slides. So you can go ahead and get started. You may want to print out a copy of it. Mm-hmm. Or anything you like. Right? And the instructions are very straightforward.
Okay.